After World War II, a German soldier escaped the world's deadliest prison camp in Siberia, but his real fight for survival began when he had to walk 14,000 kilometers through frozen wilderness alone, hunted for 3 years straight by soldiers who never stopped chasing. The story opens in a Siberian labor camp, where German soldiers stand in formation following World War II's conclusion. Russia had captured these soldiers and forced them into coal mining operations under harsh conditions. Despite minimal security measures, no prisoner dared attempt escape because endless snowfields surrounded the facility, stretching thousands of kilometers in every direction. The nearest human settlement lay 14,000 kilometers away, across frozen wilderness where winter temperatures guaranteed death for anyone foolish enough to flee. Yet among these prisoners stood one man with a brilliant mind who refused to accept this fate. Clemens Farrell faced a 25-year sentence and had no intention of wasting half his life imprisoned far from his wife and daughter. Fortune smiled when Clemens discovered an opportunity to hide inside a coal freight car departing the camp. Escaping into the open night, he glimpsed stars overhead for the first time in years and felt momentary joy. That happiness vanished quickly when the freight car halted unexpectedly. A Russian guard armed with a rifle confronted Clemens, who was immediately recaptured. As punishment for his escape attempt, guards locked him inside an outdoor cell exposed to freezing rain for 2 full days. When the warden finally retrieved Clemens, no physical torture followed. The warden simply remarked that his fellow prisoners awaited him eagerly. Clemens entered the barracks where inmates surrounded him, wielding improvised clubs. They had endured starvation for 2 days because of his escape attempt, and their rage was absolute. The brutal beating left Clemens severely injured, requiring hospitalization within the camp's medical facility. The camp doctor, himself a German prisoner, listened as Clemens revealed his determination to escape again and requested assistance. The doctor expressed astonishment at such resilience after enduring tremendous suffering. He explained that escaping alive was impossible, and even successful escape meant death in the frozen wasteland beyond. However, the doctor acknowledged a darker truth. Remaining in the camp also guaranteed death. Carbon exposure from coal mining caused fatal diseases, including cancer that killed prisoners slowly. Therefore, the doctor encouraged Clemens to attempt one final escape. The doctor provided Clemens with warm clothing, sturdy boots, essential supplies, and revealed that Russian soldiers cached food near railway lines. He also gave Clemens a firearm for protection. The doctor had assembled these items for his own escape, but recently learned he had terminal cancer with only weeks remaining. He handed Clemens a lunchbox, requesting it be delivered to his family with news of his death. Clemens departed during darkness, choosing to travel on foot rather than risk another freight car. He walked continuously through night and into morning, fearing recapture at any moment. When the warden discovered Clemens had vanished, he rushed to interrogate the doctor but found him dead by suicide. The doctor had taken his own life, knowing the warden's brutal response to the escape. The warden dispatched numerous soldiers to hunt Clemens, with orders to bring him back alive. Despite extensive searching over many days, they found no trace. Fortune favored Clemens as fresh snowfall obscured his tracks, making pursuit nearly impossible. Everyone assumed he had frozen to death in the harsh conditions, except the warden, who understood Clemens possessed extraordinary strength and determination. Search operations continued indefinitely. Meanwhile, Clemens pushed forward through blizzards with unwavering resolve. 9 days into his journey, exhaustion and hunger nearly defeated him. He dreamed of rescue by dog sled teams, only to awaken, realizing it was mere hallucination brought on by starvation. His food supplies had run out completely, and weakness made each step agonizing. Days later, his body collapsed entirely and consciousness faded. Upon regaining awareness, Clemens heard strange sounds nearby and spotted a seal. Hope surged as he drew his weapon, attempting to take aim, but extreme fatigue ruined his accuracy and the seal fled. Refusing to surrender his only chance at survival, Clemens gave chase. Ice broke beneath his feet, plunging him into freezing water and injuring his legs. Despite the pain, he continued pursuing the animal. The seal hid behind rocks, and Clemens tracked it relentlessly. Before it could dive into the ocean, Clemens fired his final bullet and miraculously struck his target. Overwhelming relief flooded through Clemens as food security was temporarily restored. After consuming the seal meat over several days and resting briefly, he resumed his southward trek. Complete isolation surrounded him with nothing but endless snow in all directions. To maintain sanity during this solitary ordeal, Clemens spoke to himself, constantly offering words of encouragement and positive reinforcement. He navigated using a compass, ensuring he wouldn't become hopelessly lost in the featureless white expanse. Days transformed into weeks, and weeks into months. After walking continuously for 2 full months, Clemens encountered his first tree standing alone in the snow. Joy overwhelmed him, and he ran to embrace it, like discovering treasure. This solitary tree signified he had successfully crossed the massive snowfield, and forest regions lay ahead. Walking further confirmed his assessment as vegetation increased and snow decreased. The warden, meanwhile, ordered search parties to expand their radius to 500 kilometers, convinced Clemens still survived somewhere. As Clemens entered the forest, a violent snowstorm struck without warning. Winds knocked massive trees from the ground, and one fell directly onto Clemens, trapping him beneath its weight. Fortune intervened when two gold prospectors passed through that evening and rescued him from certain death. The three men traveled together, eventually emerging from the frozen regions. They constructed a wooden raft to cross a river they encountered. During the crossing, they shared personal stories. But suddenly, the current intensified, causing the raft to lose control. One prospector lost his balance and fell into the rushing water. Unable to swim, he began drowning immediately. Clemens dove in and managed to pull the man to shore, saving his life. Their third companion, however, abandoned them to drown and fled with all the gold, including his friend's share. When Clemens and the rescued prospector reached their tent, the betrayed man became furious upon discovering his friend's theft and greed. He shot the traitor dead without hesitation. Clemens and the surviving prospector continued their journey together, walking for many additional months, hoping to reach civilization. Winter returned, blanketing the forests in fresh snow. The prospector's heavy gold-filled pack made travel through snow extremely difficult. Clemens offered to lighten his burden, but the prospector grew suspicious, thinking Clemens intended to steal his gold. He attacked Clemens violently, knocking him unconscious. Hours later, Clemens regained awareness to find a wolf pack approaching his position. He scrambled up a nearby tree to escape, but the weakened tree snapped under his weight, causing him to fall. One wolf seized his leg as he climbed. Clemens believed death was imminent when suddenly gunshots rang out. Local hunters had arrived, killing several wolves and driving the pack away. They transported Clemens to their village, where residents treated his injuries. After years of isolation, Clemens finally reached human civilization. The villagers cared for him generously over many days. A letter arrived at the village bearing the warden's seal. It warned that a German soldier had escaped, and anyone harboring him would be branded a traitor. Clemens reluctantly departed to protect the villagers from punishment. Before leaving, they provided him with food supplies and a hunting dog for companionship. Clemens no longer faced the journey alone. Both traveler and dog walked together for many days until they spotted a lumber mill. The dog ran toward it seeking food, and Clemens followed to retrieve him. Workers inside recognized Clemens and brought him before their supervisor. Clemens narrated his entire story, earning sympathy from everyone present. They fed him and placed him aboard a train bound for Germany. Clemens felt joy, believing he would soon reach home. Unknown to him, the supervisor had betrayed his location to the warden, who now waited at the railway station with armed soldiers. Before reaching the station, Clemens spotted Russian soldiers through the train window. Seizing an opportunity, he jumped from the moving train and fled. Unfortunately, guards witnessed his escape and gave chase. Clemens sprinted across railway tracks, but suddenly, the warden appeared, blocking his path. Terror gripped Clemens as years of effort seemed wasted. Before the warden could seize him, Clemens's loyal dog attacked the warden, biting him viciously. This distraction allowed Clemens to escape once more. He ran with every ounce of remaining strength. Gunfire erupted behind him, and turning briefly, Clemens saw his faithful companion lying dead. Grief struck him deeply, but he couldn't stop. Reaching a bridge, he leaped onto a passing train below and disappeared from the warden's grasp yet again. Months continued passing as Clemens progressed slowly through Central Asia. The calendar turned to 1952, marking 7 full years since his original escape from imprisonment. He wandered through a bustling village marketplace where vendors displayed food and beverages everywhere. Hunger tormented him, yet his empty pockets prevented purchasing anything. 2 young women selling fresh pancakes caught his attention. Clemens desperately wanted to buy one, but lacked even a single coin. Disappointment showed clearly as he prepared walking away, when unexpectedly, one woman took pity. She broke off a generous piece and handed it to Clemens without payment. Initial awkwardness gave way to profound gratitude as he consumed it eagerly. A Jewish merchant observing this charitable act followed Clemens when he entered a nearby church. The merchant approached, revealing his own history as a former prisoner, explaining his sympathy toward fugitives. Rather than reporting Clemens to authorities, he offered genuine assistance. He invited Clemens to his residence where, for the first time in countless years, Clemens shaved and restored his former appearance. More importantly, the merchant provided forged identification documents enabling border crossing into Germany. Overwhelming appreciation filled Clemens as he expressed heartfelt thanks before departing toward the boundary separating Russia from his homeland. Several weeks of careful travel brought Clemens to the Russian border checkpoint. Anxiety consumed him, presenting the counterfeit passport to the border guard. Fear that recognition or forgery detection would end his journey tormented his thoughts. Fortune smiled as the guard examined papers briefly, then waved him through without suspicion. Relief and joy erupted simultaneously, causing uncontrollable laughter. The border bridge stretched ahead, representing the final barrier between exile and home. He walked confidently toward German territory, anticipating family reunion. Reaching the bridge's midpoint, blinding spotlights suddenly illuminated his position. The warden stood blocking passage forward. Turning desperately, Clemens confirmed he remained technically on Russian soil, meaning arrest remained possible. Devastation crushed his spirit, realizing 7 years might culminate in failure, mere steps from freedom. Then, something completely unexpected occurred. The warden stepped aside, clearing the path, and gestured forward. Disbelief paralyzed Clemens initially, but cautiously, he advanced. The warden explained that Clemens's remarkable survival instinct and extraordinary courage had earned profound respect. Their confrontation represented a contest between two determined soldiers, and Clemens had prevailed. The warden offered final words, encouraging Clemens to embrace the life he had fought desperately to reclaim. Clemens crossed into Germany, finally completing his impossible journey. He traveled to his hometown, approaching the house where his wife and daughter resided. Observing from a distance, he watched them depart for church and followed discreetly. His daughter had maintained unwavering faith her father would return alive. Inside the church, she turned around and instantly recognized the figure standing behind her. She sprinted forward, throwing her arms around Clemens as tears flowed freely. His wife stood frozen, witnessing her husband's miraculous survival after so many years. The three embraced tightly, forming an unbreakable circle of reunion and love. This true story of human endurance and determination reached its emotional conclusion. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel and like the video.